What's up, everyone? Kyle here. Welcome to the second edition of From Around the World Fridays. Today, I was going to answer some of the questions that I've gotten about traveling. I get a lot of questions about, what's your favorite place, what things you like to do when you're traveling, etc. And so I thought I'd just do a quick video just to answer a couple questions. I got a lot of good questions recently from listeners of the podcast, so I'm here to answer a few of them. So let's jump in. First question, when did your love of traveling begin? This is a great question. I think it really started back when I was really, really young. I had the opportunity, thanks to my family, to be able to travel as a kid. I know that we would travel um, for different like sporting events around Washington State, and sometimes we went to Oregon or went to Nevada a couple times, to Reno, um, down to California. I know it was really a lot of fun for me to go to places like Hawaii and stuff like that as a kid. But I think it goes back even further. I think it goes back to um, basically like my earliest memories. Even just traveling from my hometown of Yakima to a place like Ellensburg, which is like 30 minutes from here, or going to the Tri Cities, which is about an hour or so from here. And so being able to just kind of experience something new, I always enjoyed the travel experiences, even to those places nearby. I always loved, the anticipation of getting to see something new, seeing new scenery. I always loved the hotels, being able to jump on the bed and just kind of have that unique experience, something that was different from the normal routine. Um, so yeah, I think it really goes back to when I was really young, and from the first moments that I really did travel, and it's just continuously built up as time has gone on over the years, to um, more and more travels and further abroad. My love for travel has just grown over the years. Every time I travel, I feel like I love it more. So that's question number one. Okay, second question. How far in advance do you plan and prepare for a trip? This is a really great question as well. I think when it comes to planning a trip, it really depends. I mean, nowadays, I usually have a place in mind that I want to go to, because I'm pursuing, getting to different states, different countries, etc. And so I've already kind of planned out like where are the next places I want to go. And as I get closer to like, for instance, traveling to all the different states, all 50 states, I'm starting to run out of states to go to, and so it's getting easier and easier to pick where I want to go. So that's the first step, and usually I think about that way in advance of when I actually travel. Um, I usually have an idea, maybe even years in advance or whatever of where I want to go to. But I would say typically it's probably a couple months before the actual trip itself. I usually like to plan ahead at least a few months in advance. Maybe potentially longer if it's an international trip. I think probably 6 months in advance for an international trip, just because that's a little bit more intensive. It's usually going to be a longer time that I'm gone, and it's going to be more costly. So I want to be better prepared for that. I'm also a huge planner, so um, part of the fun of traveling for me is getting to plan the trip. And so that's something that I just kind of do for fun, anyways, is plan trips. But yeah, it depends, and sometimes it's a lot shorter. Sometimes it's the day before, just kind of a last minute thing. That's not usually what I like to do. I like to have it prepared well in advance, but yeah, I would say generally a couple months to maybe 6 months. Sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. Really just depends. And then the second part of that question, how far do you prepare, or how far in advance do you prepare for a trip? Um, Usually, when it comes to, I think of this question in like packing, or like planning what I need for the trip. I've gotten a good system down, having traveled so much now. I know for the most part I'm going to bring or what I need to bring on the trip. Um, but usually, I would say anywhere from a week to like 4 or 5 days before the trip, I will make a list of what I need to bring on the trip. Clothes and everything that I need. And then usually it's the day before, or maybe 2 days before. I'll actually pack everything and be prepared with everything that I need for the trip. But usually the day before um, it works best for me. So there's question 2. All right, question 3. What is it like using different currencies? I thought this was an interesting question. It's not something that I guess I've necessarily thought about too much before. A lot of places it's really easy to use the other currency. Um, you know, you just exchange your money, and then a lot of places, especially developed countries, will have the prices for everything for you. I think important things to note with using other currencies. One, try not to use the currency exchanges at the airports because they have a really bad exchange rate typically. I think if you can go to an actual bank in the place that you're in, or go to an ATM, a legitimate ATM. Watch out for scammers for sure. But if you go to an ATM, you're going to get a lot better exchange rate, which will make your money go farther. And then also with that, I think it's important to know what the exchange rate is, or what the currency you're using is compared to what the dollar is worth, or whatever your home currency is worth. Because sometimes in some places they'll maybe try to take advantage of you, knowing that, like, especially if you're American and you're traveling abroad, some places definitely try to take advantage of Americans because they know they have money. They know the dollar's a very strong currency, um, and so they'll maybe lie about the price, or jack it up a lot, uh, and so it's way overpriced for what it's actually worth in that place. So I think it's really important to know what is this actually worth in this currency, and what it's worth compared to using dollars. I think it's easy to get confused and overpay for a lot of things, honestly. But no, pretty easy using other currencies. It's always good to have cash on hand, and especially nowadays, with most places you can use a credit card anyways, so that makes it a lot easier as well. But always having cash on hand is good too, and it's fun to see the different currencies. A lot of places have really beautiful paper money and beautiful coins, a lot prettier than here in the U.S. So it's fun to keep those, or to use those and see what they look like. And I definitely keep some currency or some coins and cash from every place that I've been to, just as a cool souvenir. So, question number 3. All right, question number 4. Are you working while traveling, and are you making money while traveling? So, yes, a lot of times I do work while I travel. One of the nice things about my job at the moment is that I do have the ability to work remotely. And so I definitely take advantage of that. I do like being able to work, wherever I'm at, if I need to, or if I want to. So yes, I do work while I travel. And it is a good setup for being able to do that. As for making money while traveling, this is something that I'm working on. For one, hence some of these videos and the podcast and everything. I think it's a tool to make money while I'm traveling for sure. Of course, the point is to share the world with others and inspire people to travel, but making money while doing it is always nice too. And I've actually just started making money from this. I do have advertisers for the podcast, and working on a book, which should come out towards the end of the year. And so that is all about travel, and it's a lot of my experiences in that book as well. So indirectly, I'm going to get paid for travels by that book or by the sales of that book. So, I think there's more to come with this. I definitely would like to make money while traveling. That's definitely a goal of mine, and there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. There's so many ways that you can do it, and maybe that's something that I can share in another one of these as well. But there's a lot of opportunities to do it if you want to, and it is possible. It's just going to take a lot of work as well. So that was question number 4. Okay, this last question number 5. I thought this was a really interesting one that I haven't really thought too much about either. Question number 5 is, what foods do you miss most when traveling? So as I was thinking about this, a lot of times I'm not really missing a lot of foods when I'm traveling. I will say, if I'm in some place where the food is really different than what I'm used to, after a while of not having normal American food, I would say, I do sometimes really crave that that greasy cheeseburger or whatever it is, just something that's familiar to me. I think that is something that can really affect people too as they're traveling, is they're eating a lot of different foods that they're not used to, which one can be pretty terrible from a gastrointestinal standpoint. I can attest to that in the past. But I think too, it can kind of give you more culture shock by not having the same foods. So I think that is something that is important to note as you travel. But no, most of the time, especially now, I'm not really missing a lot of foods. And in a lot of places too, I mean, you're still, eating chicken or beef or whatever it is. It's still a lot of the same foods, maybe just prepared differently than what I'm used to. But yes, I will say, every once in a while, you do get that craving for, something familiar. I would say more what I miss is like my normal, like food routine, I would say. So not being able to, make my smoothie every day, or not being able to, you know, eat the typical foods that I'm used to every single day in the routine that I'm used to. That can sometimes be something that I miss, because I do like having that routine of like, okay, I know I'm not wondering what I'm going to eat. I'm not, concerned about what to eat or if it's good or not or whatever. I already know my normal routine there. So hopefully that answered the question. I think that's a really interesting question, and one that can be important and something that can affect your travels. So important to note there. But a lot of places have a lot of foods that you might normally eat anyways. So that's always nice too. All right, that was question number 5. And I will do more questions. I definitely have more questions that I have gotten from listeners and viewers of this show, and I will do more of these answering questions in the future. So if you have questions and you want to send them in, let me know. You can either email me, or you can comment below, or reach out via Instagram, or whatever you want to reach out to, or reach out by. Just let me know and I'd be happy to answer. And hopefully you enjoyed, and I will see you all next week.